Welcome, neighbors.
Hello, neighbor.
Won't you be my neighbor?
Hello, other neighbor.
Hello, neighbor.
It's a neighborly day
Hello, neighbors.
in the neighborhood.
That's right. Today's all about Mr. Rogers.
I'm so excited about this.
If you didn't see Mr. Rogers growing up,
I'm sorry for you.
yeah, wow.
Like, just an absolute treasure of a human being.
Yeah.
There are so many things that I learned from Mr. Rogers. I feel like Mr. Rogers, taught me as a kid about humanity and that,
totally.
everything was okay.
Yeah. And that it was cool to be a grown-ass man and have a train set in your house that went to a magical land.
I'm Misty.
And I'm Ike.
For the next 15 minutes,
We're going to debate pop culture.
my background's in music.
My background's in film,
I know the topics beforehand.
and I don't.
We check the internet for the facts,
And ruin it with opinions.
from pop rocks in your lunchbox.
To Happy Meal toys and swatch clocks.
Yeah, it was.
Dude.
Yeah, absolutely. And to take your shoes off when you came inside.
And put your house shoes on.
Exactly. That's how it should be done.
Did you know that the first 5 episodes of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood are in black and white?
I felt like I probably assumed that there were more than 5.
I would too.
When did Mr. Rogers go on the air?
The first Mr. Rogers episode in color aired April 19th, 1971. So, although most major networks like ABC and CBS were broadcasting in color by 1968, public broadcasting was a little late to the game.
PBS. This is one that I really, really love. Many of the sweaters that Mr. Rogers wore were made by his mother.
What?
She made sweaters for all of her kids and gave them to them as gifts for Christmas. And he said that whenever he put a new one on the show, it was his way of saying hello to his mom.
He put a new one on every day. Yeah. Wow. He must have kept her busy.
Wanted to say hi, Mom, every time he put on a new sweater.
Did you know one of those sweaters now hangs in the Smithsonian Institute?
Yeah.
The red one.
So cool.
Dude.
You know what's behind it at the Smithsonian?
Roger Rabbit.
No, Bugs Bunny. And the Flintstones.
That's what I meant.
Some of the original, some animations from them.
Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Yep. And Natasha. Don't forget Natasha. She's important in that.
Did you know there's no desk in his office?
What? Okay, explain.
What office, right?
Yeah, I mean, I thought that his living room was his office.
He felt that a desk would create too much of a barrier between him and others. Instead, Rogers opted for a sofa and armchairs.
Of course he did. Do you know why he made Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood?
I think I've heard this, but I would love to know more about it.
Okay. So he went home, he pursued a degree in broadcasting, and he was at home once and he turned the TV on and he said that it was some horrible show with people throwing pies at each other. And he hated it so much. And he thought there has to be a way to use this fantastic new thing that we have to nurture kids and adults who are watching and listening. And so that's why he came up with Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
Did you know that he also composed all of the music on the show?
I did not.
He earned a degree in music competition from Rollins College and put it to good use on iconic songs like It's Such a Good Feeling and Won't You Be My Neighbor.
Aww.
So you remember the trolley, the neighborhood trolley?
Of course.
Guess how many miles it traveled per season of the show?
Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine.
In my head, I wouldn't even think it would be 1 mile because it's just going from one set to the other. What is that, 50 feet?
But I don't know how many takes that they would have to do of things, and I don't know how many episodes per season there were. I couldn't even begin.
It's in the thousands.
What?
It's 5,000 miles every season of the show.
Wow.
That's
what?
nuts, right?
Wow.
That's a wow.
It's a long, long way to the neighborhood of make-believe.
Wow. Wow. That's weird.
Do you remember the phone was always by the fishbowl?
Yeah.
I feel like he always fed the fish when he was on the phone.
He's got to multitask.
Yeah.
Got to show the little kiddies that this is how grown-ups get stuff done.
Did you want a stoplight in your first college apartment?
So bad.
But did you ever put it together that it was implanted in your early childhood cerebrum?
No, I didn't ever.
I wanted one so bad that worked.
Wow.
And it's all because we watched Mr.
Mr.
Rogers.
Rogers.
He was our first cool grown-up that lived on his own, and he had one. So why wouldn't we want? I want a fish tank and a stop sign in my apartment.
I never thought about that.
Did you know Rogers was a vegetarian?
I had read that somewhere, I believe. It doesn't surprise me.
Maybe I'll cut out the meat for a little while.
Seems like he wouldn't want to hurt the animals.
Right.
It just seems like such a gentle human.
Yep.
You know, like do no harm kind of guy.
Yeah. What else you got?
Well, I think one of the coolest things, Mr. Rogers went and spoke in front of Congress.
Yes, he did.
About the importance of public broadcasting.
Yeah.
And if you listen to his speech, it's one of the greatest speeches I think that I've ever heard. Talking about the importance of programming and bringing it to children because it has such an effect on shaping their childhood. Mm-hmm. And it's like one of the most, I don't know, it's like super touching to sit and listen to it. And it's that moment that you're listening to him and you're like, this guy is 100% authentic. Like there is nothing about those performances on TV that has ever been one bit fake.
Do you know how many episodes were made? Total?
When did it go off the air?
2001. The last episode aired on August 31st, 2001.
And it went on air, you said, in 68?
In 68, correct.
I mean, it would be in the thousands, right? I mean, if you did the math.
895 episodes of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood were filmed between 1968 and 2000. Here's another tidbit, follow-up fun fact. The really good news, they're all available for streaming on Amazon Prime.
What?
How long do you think it would take you to watch them back to back if you just started right now and never stopped?
A month.
Close. It would take 18 days to watch them all.
Yeah. I mean, I would have to take some breaks for peeing and sleeping and
Doritos
things.
and stuff.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's nuts, right? He made 18 days of entertainment. We're only at like 40 hours of entertainment that we've produced.
Wow.
Do you know there's a spinoff?
Of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood?
Yeah.
No?
In 2012, PBS debuted its animated spinoff, Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood.
Oh, Daniel the Tiger.
Daniel the Tiger. That's cute.
Oh my goodness. Who is your favorite thing on the show?
The King.
Me too.
The King.
Me too. I loved the King.
I am
so
the King.
much.
Bring me what I want.
I loved him.
And that thing that lived in Mr. Owl in the
hoot,
hole.
Hoot, hoot, hoot.
Yeah. And I always thought the train was a character as well.
I kind of did too. Because when it would go into the thing and turn into
Yeah.
the animation. And
Did you know he controlled it? This isn't in something that I'm
I
reading.
didn't know that.
I think that he had a little
a foot stepper?
Like where he sat on the front side of the bench. There
Because he
was
always crossed his legs.
a little go back and forth go.
Yeah.
So he didn't have to have someone calling the action behind the scenes. He could just
Right.
pull that trolley out when he wanted it, talk to it, make it dance around.
That's so cool. So cool. Man.
He some of the puppets on the show are named after Roger's real life family and friends.
Oh, of course they are.
In addition to one of his sisters, Roger named two of the puppets McFeely, his mother's maiden name.
McFeely's also his middle name. Fred McFeely Rogers.
Right. I didn't know men had maiden names.
Middle name. Not maiden name.
But if it's his mom's last name, then it would be his maiden name, right?
No. A maiden name is a name that you have before you get married.
Right.
And men don't change their names traditionally.
And if they did, it wouldn't be called a maiden name.
His father's
Thanks,
name was
Nick.
Rogers.
Hello, Nick.
Did you know that he
Cutting that part out.
put out a series of instructionals for parents?
Right.
He didn't ever want parents to think that he was trying to take over and teach kids the lessons. So he produced a series of specials called Mr. Rogers Talks to Parents About X, like whatever the topic was that day, to help them be able to sit down and talk to their children. I think that's super cool.
Yeah.
Super cool. Do you know he's colorblind?
To red and green only.
Yeah, that's weird.
And
I
he
didn't know you
wore-
could be only colorblind to a couple of things.
And he wore red and green a lot.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You know what else? Oh, so you touched on him testifying in the Senate, right?
Yeah.
But he also testified in a landmark Supreme Court case that paved the way for home recording.
Oh yeah, he said something about like people should be able to have the ability to use good judgment of when they watch something and not be forced to watch it only when it's on.
Right. The 1979 Supreme Court case Sony Corp of America versus Universal City Studios. Not that that's anywhere near here. He thought the invention would allow families to watch his show when it was convenient for them, saying, very frankly, I'm opposed to being programmed by others. So he was like the OG streamer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was like, listen, people are going to get to watch this whenever they want.
Quarantine would have been a lot different without Mr. Rogers.
Right.
We would all be going to Blockbuster still.
Oh, there's still one left, and you can spend the night in
Only
it.
one.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to know a story about the fish?
Yeah. Tell me it was the same one for 40 years.
No. So he didn't start out this way, but do you remember he would always tell you he was feeding his fish out loud?
Yeah.
The reason that he did that
I've heard this story.
is because he received a letter from a blind girl named Katie that said, please say when you're feeding your fish because I worry about them. I can't see if you're feeding them, so please say if you're feeding them out loud. Katie's father noted that she was blind and would cry if Mr. Rogers didn't mention that he'd fed the fish. After learning about Katie, Mr. Rogers made a point of telling viewers that his fish were being fed, happy, and healthy.
Wow.
That makes me teary.
Come on, Rogers.
That makes me very teary.
And you have the same last name, so are you related? Misty
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
Are you really teary for real right now?
I am.
Because of fish food? Oh.
Yes. He's just so pure.
Yeah.
Like,
So you saw the documentary? Yeah. That it's hard to watch
It's
that and
real
not
hard.
feel all
Like,
of that.
you feel it in
No.
your guts.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. He was way out in the forefront of like hiring different ethnicities and like everybody's individual rights of all different shapes and sizes.
Do you remember Lady Elaine Fairchild, the puppet?
Yeah.
The lady puppet he had?
Yes.
She was named after his adopted sister, Elaine, who Roger said he loved her so dearly he wanted to immortalize her.
Do you know what Mr. Rogers did before he had a television show?
I don't. What did he do?
Rogers was ordained as a Presbyterian minister.
Interesting.
He attended Dartmouth College and then transferred to Rollins in Florida for his studies. But during his senior year, he visited home and saw that his parents had bought a new household item, a television. That's when he knew he wanted to work in media.
Wow.
I think his audience was a little bit bigger than having just one church, you know? How old do you think he was when he started playing piano?
Was he? I would take it that he was a kid when he started playing.
5.
Man, I was going to say 6.
Yeah. He grew up in Latrobe, Pennsylvania. There's a beer from there, isn't there?
There is.
What is it?
I don't know.
Rolling Rock.
Thank you.
I knew it was something.
Now I'm thirsty.
Ooh, for Rolling Rock?
I want to have a beer in honor of Mr. Rogers.
I think
Mr. Rogers would sit down and have a beer with you.
I may be wrong about
I think you're right.
I feel like I'm right.
You don't really forget stuff.
You guys, Mr. Rogers regretted naming the mailman on the show Mr. McFeely. He said he didn't quite realize how many inappropriate jokes could be made about McFeely until it was far too late.
But McFeely wasn't the only. There were 2 McFeelys on the show, right?
There was the postman. So Mr. Rogers' middle name was McFeely, and the mailman was actually named after Fred McFeely Rogers himself. That's the only one I know about is the mailman.
Sorry, I went down a rabbit hole on the Latrobe Brewing Company.
Is it Rolling Rock?
Well, it's one. Yeah, Rolling Rock's one of them.
Arnold Palmer is also from that town. The golfer.
Latrobe?
Yep.
Well, I like his beverage.
You know what? Not to go off on an Arnold Palmer.
Arnold Palmer?
I cannot say those 2 words together.
Arnold Palmer?
Arnold Palmer. My mouth and my brain want to start saying Palmer before Arnold is over. R Palm.
Okay.
Maybe we should start a line of drinks called the
Palm.
R Palms.
Maybe we should.
the fact that he was the first one to go like, I just want a half of this and a half of that, blows my fragile little mind.
Me too.
It still feels like it leaves opportunity for us to create our own beverages too.
Well, I mean, I feel like we kind of did as kids. Like, I'm sure you did this when you were a kid. Like, going in, the suicide. Making a suicide at the soda machine.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like,
was
but we were,
disgusting.
they were
So
fucking
gross.
so gross. Like, at least he combined two things that actually are tasty together.
Yeah.
Smart man. Anyways,
I wonder if Arnold Palmer and Mr. Rogers were friends.
I don't think so. Arnold Palmer was not known as necessarily always the kindest man.
But I wonder if he ever played golf with Mr. Rogers.
Mr. Rogers doesn't strike me as a golfer.
I bet he's played.
I can tell you that he was very conscious about his health, though. For the last 30 years of his life, he weighed exactly 143 pounds.
143. So, is the explanation of why he wanted to weigh 143 in there?
It's not.
Do you
Tell us.
know?
Yeah. 143 has some significance to the words "I love you," and I don't know. It's,
I is 1, love is 4, you is 3.
Yes.
143.
Yeah.
That's what we used to page each other all the time when we had pagers.
What?
Yeah. And it's the code that I made Fall Out Boy punch into the jukebox in the video that I directed.
Oh my God.
But yeah, he literally wanted to weigh 143 instead of 144 or 142 because of that.
And when you're a vegetarian, it's much easier to regulate your weight because you're
Very
just putting the
much.
same spinach in.
That's not true.
Yeah, it's
That's-
just the same
yeah,
amount of spinach every day.
You just made that
Not-
up as someone
that's-
who's never been vegetarian. You just
Right.
made that up.
You really did.
What's up with the pile on here? Who cares? You're not vegetarian. That was show's over.
Yeah, I think so.
Tomorrow's episode's about vegetarians, I guess.
I don't think so. I don't think this is a good path to go down.
I can talk about that all day with you.
If you're a vegan, that's completely different.
I'm not, but I was, and it is different.
Things are getting dark, you guys. I'm really sorry.
No, they're not. It's the same light in here that was at the beginning. Well, that was our homage to Mr. ROGERS.
I think that we should name February 27th, 2003, or February 27th, Mr. Rogers Day.
Is that his birthday?
It's the day that he passed.
Well, then let's hold this episode and put it out on his death day.
No.
Death day.
No,
I don't like that.
Part of why we're talking about this is because his wife of 50 years just died.
Yes. His wife passed away last week.
Guys, this is only one day away from February 27th. It's January.
I was like, what are you talking about?
I'm going to cut that out. I'm not going to cut that out.
No. We don't know day, year, space. Nothing matters anymore.
That's right.
This is where we are now.
Well, let's
We
all
live
go
here.
get a Rolling Rock and turn on Amazon Prime. And,
I'm going to get an orange juice. I feel like Mr. Rogers would approve of that.
well, don't forget to say when you're feeding your fish.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. We're turning off the cameras now.